is so intense, knowing that I am never going to get to see her face again on this earth or hear her voice. There are some days the pain is so great that I can just hardly breathe. She was so excited about becoming a senior and looking forward to going to college. We'd already been on so many college trips. She knew what path she was going down. She would have definitely contributed to society and would have been successful. She was so hardworking, and she was hoping to work in the music industry, which I know is a hard place to be sometimes, but I know she would have been successful because when she put her mind to something, she followed through and made sure it happened. She also wanted to have a family. She even had a list of possible baby names on her laptop. She just was a planner and organized. She just knew what she wanted. As parents, we've lost our dreams of watching her turn 18, graduate from high school, then college. We'll never get to see her fall in love or get married. And it breaks my heart every time when I think about my husband that he'll never get to walk Rachel down the aisle. We're going to miss out on all the big things and all the little things, because I know that sometimes those little things are what makes this life so great. We've been robbed of just an entire future with our only daughter. Our family's never going to be the same, and there's forever going to be a hole in our hearts. It is so evident now when our family of 3 will sit down at the kitchen table or at a restaurant. There's only 3 chairs that are filled, not 4 like it's always been. That one empty chair is a constant reminder of what we have lost. Every day is difficult, and the holidays are almost impossible to get through. So much has changed. I can hardly go to the grocery store because I'm constantly running into people that want to continue to give us condolences, and it all just rehashes everything. The wounds continue to be opened. And then sometimes it's just turning on the radio and I hear one of her favorite songs that just tears me apart. Being a grieving parent makes it very difficult to be a good wife, a good mother to our son, a good friend to so many of my friends that have tried to be supportive. It's changed the relationship with my sister, who I used to talk to every day, but now there's days where I have nothing I can talk about. While we feel that there's going to be no true justice for Rachel, we would ask you, Your Honor, to please sentence this defendant to the maximum amount of 120 years. He took the lives of these 2 innocent, promising young girls, and they lost their lives strictly because of the actions of his drunk driving, and he should spend the rest of his life behind bars. He has a long history of driving under the influence, and it's time for a change. No more light sentences for drunk driving and killing people. We just can't imagine another family having to go through this, and I think if there is a harsh sentence passed down, that people might start thinking twice about what they're doing. And the only peace that we may have is knowing that the defendant will never have the opportunity to hurt another person. Thank you for listening to that. And you have something else?
Is that anything
I don't.
else?
I had other family members write stuff, and I didn't know if it was something you were either willing to listen to now or read.
I'm willing to listen to anything you have to say.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will continue. My sister lives in California, so she was unable to be here today. Her name is Lisa. My name is Lisa Benson. I'm Rachel's aunt. Daughter, sister, granddaughter, niece, cousin. It is not enough to express who Rachel was. I called her Ray Ray because she was like a ray of sunshine, always smiling and making people feel warm. She found joy in the everyday, laughing, listening to music, seeking fun, and loving her friends. A quote we adopted from her is, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." So on days that are dark, and there are many, I remember that as the sun comes out and shines, it's Ray Ray saying, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." This is only a fragment of what Rachel means to our family. I called her my other daughter because I felt such a closeness to her and we were so alike. We bonded over music, the beach, yummy desserts, and so much more. She and my daughter are the same person, just 5 years apart, just like me and my sister. I looked for Rachel's advice on Paige as she was growing up. My daughter Paige wanted to fly Rachel out for her 5th grade promotion because Paige said Rachel is the only one on earth that knows how to do her hair right. Rachel and Paige were best friends, and truly, she was a great role model. Paige always wanted to be joined at the hip with Rachel or be her shadow. Rachel would call her my munchkin. We always told the girls they were more like sisters even though 2,000 miles separated us. And even though the distance separated us, we always made time for one another. We flew to each other to go to concerts, shopping in San Francisco, trips to the aquarium, trips in Tahoe and Disney World. We had so many more plans that will only live in our dreams. As Paige is an only child, we already had the 4 of us to move them into the dorms, go wedding dress shopping, and raise babies together. As they got older, she told them they can turn to each other for support when they are aging parents. This person's poor judgment to drive drunk, not once, but over 7 times that we know of, took not only Rachel and my sister's dreams, but my dreams and my daughter's for the rest of our lives. Rachel had texted pictures to Paige moments before the crash, wishing her a happy birthday. I will never forget the sheer horror of the screams that came from my daughter when I gave her the news. It was the same day she was celebrating her 13th birthday. Now this birthday week, every year, will be bittersweet as it will always be the anniversary of when she lost her best friend. I think about Rachel daily, as I do my own child. Nothing I can write today can fully express what an impact this has had on our family. But when I hear certain songs, see a macaroon, look at the beach on a rainy day, or see something purple, see an elephant, a dream catcher, a sunflower, or a British flag, even going over a bridge, I can hear her voice. The list could go on and on. I'm constantly thinking of her. We talk often in our family of Rachel and her amazing ability to make people smile and feel appreciated. It is no surprise Briarcrest School has decided to honor Rachel with the first Rachel Lynch Award this May 6th. It will go to a student each year that exemplifies the outstanding qualities Rachel represented: dedicated, trustworthy, loyal, knowledgeable, caring, passionate, and thoughtful. She was this and so much more. She will forever be a role model in which to live by and be forever in our hearts and missed. Please honor Rachel and our family by sentencing the maximum allowable under the law for this tragic killing. I do. This is from my niece Paige, who's 13. Rachel was more than a cousin to me, she was a sister to me. Rachel changed my life before and even after the crash. Rachel was such a happy and bubbly person and didn't let anyone get in her way of reaching her dreams. Rachel only lived for 17 years, but made every minute count and accomplished the goals she set in her junior year. I have always looked up to Rachel and would seek to her for advice. But since the crash, I feel stranded. Rachel affected so many lives. Rachel is loved and missed by so many. This whole experience has damaged my perspective on safe driving and just about life. The following is from a paper I wrote for my English class in March of 2014. So this was prior to the crash. My cousin Rachel. My cousin Rachel, born Rachel Nicole Lynch, was born on July 1st, 1997 in Denver, Colorado. She was 8 pounds and 21 inches. At age 7, Rachel moved to Tennessee. As a child, she enjoyed swimming, dancing, cheer, and acting. Rachel was a great student in school. Rachel went to Fry Elementary, and then Germantown Elementary, and then Briarcrest Middle and High School. Rachel is now in her sophomore year of high school. She excels in English, and she loves world history. The movie The Blind Side was based off events and families at her school. At school, Rachel is a stage manager for plays. Rachel has worked on a lot of plays, including The Sound of Music and Tarzan. Rachel likes cats, clothes, shopping, concerts, anything British, and coming to visit in California. Rachel has 3 cats, Moochie, Oreo, and Zipper. Rachel has also gone to a lot of concerts, including Paramore, Fall Out Boy, and Justin Bieber. Rachel and I both enjoy going shopping and going to San Francisco. Rachel also makes yearly trips out here to California to visit her family. She is now 16 and lives in Germantown, Tennessee. She has long, wavy brown hair and green eyes. She also owns a Volvo. Rachel has a number of jobs, including lifeguard, babysitter, and stage manager. Rachel is so special to me because we share a lot of the same interests. For example, we both like cats, shopping, and sweets. Rachel is such a smart, talented, artistic, special girl. I just wish I could spend my whole life with her. Rachel sometimes helps me with homework, find a cute outfit, and loves me for who I am. Even though Rachel lives 2,000 miles away, we still find a way to be together. For example, by talking on the phone, FaceTiming, texting, and seeing each other in person. Rachel and I have an everlasting bond that nobody nor anything could break. I have one more. This is from my brother, who also lives in California and couldn't be here. I am the uncle of Rachel Lynch, who was tragically taken from her family far too soon. From an early age, Rachel would light up a room with her radiant smile and infectious laugh. This continued all the way into her teens. Rachel was an unbelievably talented young lady. She was a standout in academics, theater, and sports. We often envied her happy-go-lucky outlook on life. It was in her nature to be one of those people you could count on for anything. Our family, including our 2 children, always look forward to visiting with her during their trips to California. We are heartbroken that simple things like Rachel and our daughter doing their nails together, doing cannonballs into the pool with our son, or simply hanging out together on the couch have been cut short by this tragedy. Rachel had already begun thinking about choices for college. We were excited that California made her short list of possible choices. Our children were looking forward to strengthening their bonds with Rachel. There is hardly a day that goes by that Rachel is not in our thoughts. It has been very difficult to answer our children's questions of why this happened. Many of the questions they ask we can't answer, but we ourselves also question why he was allowed on the road that day with all the past offenses. We know that this cannot bring Rachel back, but we hope the court will serve justice to the fullest extent. The law will not have to go through the kind of pain our family has felt. So much has been lost to a selfish drunk driver. If it were in my power, Your Honor, I would sentence the defendant to the maximum years in prison. However, we would ultimately prefer that he never is on the road again. This man must never be allowed to do anything else to anyone else's family. We would also hope that he endures the unending sorrow, grief, and sadness we feel each day knowing that our beloved Rachel is no longer with us.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I just continue to beg the court for their to sentence him, and I appreciate you listening to all of that.
Your Honor, the state calls Matt Lynch. Just swear affirm the testimony you're about to give me the truth and all truth and nothing but the truth. Can you give your name again, the record?
Matthew Lynch,
And where do you live?
Germantown, Tennessee.
I know you've got something prepared, but if you'd like
Yes.
to tell the court.
Well, actually, I'd rather just read it. First of all, I have a statement from our son, Justin. Bear with me here. My name is Justin Lynch. I am, and always will be, Rachel's big brother. I am her only brother, and now I'm an only child. I'm a 20-year-old sophomore at Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. I have 2 wonderful parents who have been destroyed by this crash. My little sister was a wonderful person. She was one of my closest friends. We could talk about everything and nothing at all. She was always so full of energy. She had a beautiful smile, a fiery spirit. She looked up to me for guidance, and I helped her as best I could. She was always willing to give someone the help that they needed. She fought for her beliefs, and she wasn't afraid to disagree with anyone. Her teachers would talk to her like she was a member of the staff. I very soon realized how special she was by watching her interact with the same people that I did. They all showed her such a level of respect that I was so impressed with her. I am proud to be her brother. Even though I'm 2 years older than her, we had worked together throughout middle school and high school on plays and musicals. She has a passion for being a stage manager and an audio engineer. She knew what she wanted to do with her life and worked really hard to achieve it. She wanted to go to MTSU or San Francisco State, study music management, and become a band manager or roadie. She wanted to live the wondrous life of music. She was taken from me too young, and we are left with a void that will never be filled. My life was irrevocably changed the morning of the 31st of May. It was supposed to be a quiet day. That night before I said goodbye to my sister, she went off to her friend's house to spend the night because they had a very special trip planned the next day. They wanted to get a head start on the drive and leave as early as possible. They were smart girls who knew that traffic would be light on a Sunday morning as the sun was rising. They were prepared and they were looking forward for celebrating that week. I had recently gotten back from college just a couple of weeks before and was looking forward to a calm summer. I was abruptly woken up on the morning by my parents letting me know that there was a crash and that something had happened. We were all in a panic. I spoke with a few friends and asked them to keep my family in their prayers. When I got the call from my dad that Rachel was gone, all my senses paused. She was gone. My little sister was gone. It took me a few minutes to process what I had heard. That day was spent grieving and almost uncontrollably with my friends and family. My best friends from college drove to town as soon as they heard. When the funeral was held a few days later, half of my fraternity showed up to pay their respects. Even through all this incredible and unwavering support, it hurt. It hurts every day. Every day I have to remind myself she's gone. Every day I have to tell myself to keep going and fight on for her. I made it through last summer and headed back to college where I was to become a resident advisor for 40 Sanford students. I've been working this job while going to school and dealing with the loss of my sister. If not for my family, my girlfriend, my friends, my fraternity brothers, I am not sure how I would have made it through this school year. I'm on a presidential scholarship at Sanford. This requires me to maintain the highest GPA throughout my college career. As a direct result of this, for the first time in my life, my grades suffered. I have had to learn how to adapt to the loss of one of my closest and best friends. These two young ladies, Rachel and Maddie, were killed before they graduated high school. They were easily robbed of 60 years of life each. Every year that was stolen from us must be repaid. I ask that the court imposes the maximum sentence to this repeat habitual offender. I miss my sister every day, and there's no penalty that can take that pain away. Please do not let this person out of jail during my lifetime. Sincerely, Justin Lynch.
And then you also have...
Yes, I do. Your Honor, it is with a heavy, broken heart that I write this statement for your review. As you know, my family was irreversibly shattered on the morning of May 31st, 2015. I've been asked to write about who our daughter Rachel was. There's not enough time for me to take you through her 17 years and 11 months to tell you all that. What I will try to tell you is a little bit about who Rachel was. Rachel was my rock. Before my mother passed away, she would always comment that Rachel was exactly like me when I was a child. Rachel was the most caring person I have ever had the privilege to know. I don't say that because I'm her dad. I say that because of what people tell me and what I've realized. She was a selfless person who thought about her friends and her family more than she thought of herself. She was a driven dynamo of a young lady. She had a passion for life that was rivaled of any that I have encountered. First, let me tell you about Rachel the athlete. Rachel was a very active child. We called her Danger Baby. She loved anything. She played soccer, basketball, softball, rode bikes, bowled, skateboarded, danced, golfed, and most of all, she swam. Team sports were fun for her, but she quickly realized that she liked golf and she liked swimming because she loved the individuality of the sport. It was just her against the clock or her against the golf course. Swimming gave her such a joy that all of us could see. Swimming is a very grueling sport. I would watch her as she would get in the pool every day for practice, even when she did not want to. The work that swimmers put in rivals that of any collegiate or professional athlete. She spent hours and hours of time training in the pools, all for just a few minutes at a meet. Her only reward? A ribbon and a personal best time. And yes, we have those ribbons. Her joy? Watching her friends succeed at doing the same things. Rachel was a very athletic girl who had great ambitions for her senior year. She had made it known to everyone that she and Maddie were going to play golf together as seniors. Without a doubt, Rachel was wise beyond her years. Next, Rachel was without a doubt Jennifer's best friend. We always heard stories about teenagers who never talked with their parents. These two were different. They would talk for hours and hours about the future, about school, about life, about nothing, about everything. She was a point of focus for my Jennifer. This tragedy has ripped a part out of Jennifer that can never be replaced. To me, Rachel was my little girl, my baby, my peanut. I would always tell her, no matter how old she got or what life dealt with her, I would always see her as that little 4-year-old girl who sat on my lap on top of the huge boulder at Snoqualmie Falls. It was forever immortalized in a picture taken by Jennifer. It's in my phone today. I carry it everywhere. I had it before and I will never get rid of it. She was a very strong-willed and determined person who had goals and objectives that she had already documented. Rachel, as a student, was just as dedicated and determined as the athlete. She had to work very hard at school. It did not come naturally to her. She made it happen. When she entered high school, she knew what she needed to have good grades in order to go to college. She became a very smart student who was well on her way to a bright future. While at Briarcrest, her brother Justin got involved in the technical side of theater, while Rachel participated in the plays. After acting in 1 or 2 plays in middle school, Rachel found herself working behind the scenes as a stage manager. She realized that no good play could be done without the backstage support, the technical support, the director's support. She very quickly started shadowing the stage managers and the directors, trying to learn the art of putting on a play or a production. Rachel would always say that she had the best job because everyone saw her work without knowing that she was the one doing it. She took pride in being anonymous. Now the kids in the theater and the musical areas will tell you she ran the plays with a firm hand and little tolerance because that is what made a great play. There are stories of her taking cell phones from the cast when they were not following the director's orders. As a freshman, she would face down seniors and get them to follow her. She could also talk with second graders and make them feel like seniors. She had a way with knowing how to manage people towards a common goal. This kid could have herded cats, Your Honor. That's how good she was. A trait I always noticed and am extremely proud of. More than once, her teachers came to us as parents and said that they would actually talk to Rachel like she was a peer, a coworker, and then have to correct themselves when they remembered she was just a student. She was a trusted leader among these kids and adults. After a few years of doing the stage manager role, she decided to get out in front of the theater and get involved with the technical side. She started working the lights, the soundboard, the microphones. Nobody could put on mic tape like Rachel. She excelled in every aspect of the production of the plays and the musical. She got involved with the music and the fine arts side of the business. She was starting to be recognized for her natural talent of running the boards. I credit Justin, our son, and Ryan Stone, her teacher, for helping to create this fire in her belly. During her junior year, she was running the boards by herself. This was unheard of for a 16-year-old kid. All the while, Rachel had a passion for music. She loved all types of music, from my love of old school rock and roll and heavy metal to her mom's love for 80s rock band, Courtney's love for country music, and her affiliation for pop and rock music of the later genres. Without a doubt, her favorite band was One Direction. She was dedicated to those boys for the product they put out, not just the show. Rachel was always listening to bands before they became famous. She had such an ear for music. Music was exciting, so much that she'd already determined she wanted to manage a band. She had plans to go to college, study music management. She knew she had to be experienced in all aspects of music production, and she was willing to do it. When we would go to concerts, she would chat up the roadies and the technicians. She marveled at the equipment and what it takes to put on a concert. She knew that was her future. There were only a handful of colleges that offered this type of education, and she knew where they were before we did, her parents. Please let me share a few words about Rachel, the friend. I cannot tell you how she affected the lives of all her classmates, her schoolmates, her swim team friends, and her friends outside of school. Rachel never saw anything but opportunity when it came to helping out her friends. One story I always talk about is her love for her closest friend, Sebastian. Sebastian and Rachel had a bond I cannot explain. She would know what he needed before he did. Sebastian was elected to be class president for their senior year. Rachel was so proud of him. She would always make sure Sebastian had the things he needed, like a bag of sour gummy worms, or a hug when he wasn't feeling well. Rachel and Sarah Mikula had an ongoing friendship that was special. Sarah is 4 years younger than Rachel, and Rachel loved her like a little sister. During one play, she brought a GG cupcake for Sarah's birthday when nobody else knew it was her birthday. That's the kind of girl Rachel was. Another time, Lily Williamson was having a bad day, and Rachel anonymously dropped off Starbucks on her desk. Lily saw it and she asked, "Who did this?" Another friend said, Rachel did that. How do I get a friend like that? Lily said, "That's just Rachel being Rachel, and I'm glad she is my friend." Another quick story about Rachel is how she invited a new student to come sit with her at a lunch table so the new kid wasn't alone. That kid, Haley Dixon, quickly learned Rachel's kindness was so genuine. They quickly became friends, and Haley got into acting so she could spend more time with Rachel and her friends. Rachel had another friend from swimming that was very special to her. Courtney and Rachel were kindred spirits and best friends. Courtney is as much country as Rachel is city, yet they shared a bond of swimming. That bond became a natural friendship when the kids were brought together for life. Courtney had to go to her first formal. Rachel got in her car, drove 45 minutes out to Courtney's house just to help her do her hair and her makeup. Rachel wasn't going to the formal, but she wanted to make sure that Courtney knew how important for her it was for Rachel to be there for her support. Her friends knew they were her friends. They know she loved them with all her heart. I'm not saying she was perfect and everyone liked her. What I am saying is that everyone who knew Rachel knew where they stood with her. She did not hide her feelings or her opinions. Your Honor, this loss has crippled my family. It has crippled the Kruses. Our girls are forever young, and our families are forever linked with this tragedy. It has affected every student at Briarcrest, but especially affected the seniors. The class of 2016 has to carry these memories and the pain of this with them for the rest of their lives. It has affected every teacher and administrator in the Briarcrest family. We know there's no real justice for the crime that has been committed. We have no recourse available to us. We ask the court to enforce the maximum penalty allowable for this crime. There should be no leniency granted by the state due to the habitual, repetitive nature of the actions and the noted lack of enforcement prior to these deaths. There is no excuse the state can offer us as to why this person was allowed to be free after all these offenses. These deaths were avoidable. We hope that no other families are affected like we have been. We also know that is not possible. Other people will be affected by the crime of drunk drivers killing people. We hope that the state enforces the maximum and punishes this man. It is with tears in my eyes and a smile on my face that I go on. I have to. We have to. In honor and memory of Rachel and Maddie. Thank you.
Who do you have there?
Next on the set, we call Ted Kruse. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Could you give your full name in the court, please,
Ted Kruse,
and where you live?
Collierville, Tennessee.
Could you tell the court a little about your feelings as being a victim of this crime and your daughter being a victim as well?
Sure, I prepared some comments, so Your Honor, if it's okay with you, I'd like to share those at this time. First, a couple comments about our Maddie. Maddie was a senior at Briarcrest High School, where she played shortstop on the softball team and also played for the golf team. She was a member of the student council as the Commissioner of Community Relations and Vice President of the Key Club. She was scheduled to take a mission trip to Ecuador with other Briarcrest students in June of 2015. Helping others was very important to Maddie, and she viewed these as ways to help give back to her school and her community. Her proudest accomplishment was her academic success. She was well on her way to a top 10 ranking in her class. She was a member of the National Honor Society. She had already earned a score of 30 on her ACT, and she had been accepted into the Honors College at the University of Missouri. Maddie had a huge heart, always placing others first and wanted everybody to be happy. We love hearing stories from her friends about how she was always there to listen when they had a problem or just give them a hug when they needed it, and she was an awesome hugger. Maddie was silly. She was silly, she was goofy. She loved to have fun with family and friends. She had a laugh that we affectionately refer to as her cackle. And it wasn't uncommon for Maddie to randomly break into her cackle at the dinner table as some random thought would enter her mind. The thing that was most important to Maddie was her family. We now find ourselves going back to a message she posted on her Twitter account in July of 2014. As we were leaving Iowa after a visit with family, she posted, "Family is the most important thing to me. So when I have to leave them, it breaks my heart." On May 31st, 2015, our hearts were broken forever. It was an overcast, rainy, lazy Sunday, a great day for sleeping in. Maddie was on her way to the beach with friends, and we were happy to have a weekend free of softball and baseball games. Dawn could hear her phone dinging with text messages, but did not think much about it at the time. When she did check her phone, she saw missed calls and voicemails. She checked her voicemail and found a message from Caroline saying the girls had been in an accident and that some of the girls were taken to various hospitals, but we didn't know for sure where Maddie was or how severe the accident was. Dawn and I hopped in the car and headed for Olive Branch, not even sure if Olive Branch had a hospital. We called a friend that was originally from Olive Branch and said, "Is there a hospital?" And she said, "Yeah," and she helped guide us there. We thought we were going to pick up Maddie at the hospital. We thought maybe she had some stitches or a bandage, and we were going to bring her home. We had no clue what we were about to experience. As we arrived, we saw another family pulling into the hospital, and I remember saying to Dawn, they had a Briarcrest sticker on their car, and I said, "They look really concerned." Both families entered the hospital about the same time and were taken into a small private room together. Shortly thereafter, the doctor and a couple of the EMTs, actually I think a couple of them were here today, entered the room. At that moment, we knew things had gone terribly wrong. He asked who were Madeline's parents. We told him we were, and he explained that Maddie had experienced severe trauma to her head and torso due to the accident. They had done everything they could to revive her, but she did not make it. Next, I remember the screams, the tears, and the embrace with Dawn, telling the doctor, "We want to see her. We want to see our Maddie." He showed us to a room where she was and told us to take all the time we needed. We slowly entered the room, and there she was. She looked like an angel. She looked like she was sleeping. She was so peaceful. We hugged her. We kissed her. We caressed her. And we still remember how great her hair smelled that day. We just wanted to be close to her, but what we really wanted was for her to wake up and let us know this was all just a bad dream. But it was not a bad dream, and we had no idea how all of our lives were about to change and the sheer devastation we were going to experience. Chaos, utter chaos. Our lives had been thrown into utter chaos. We had our precious Maddie senselessly taken away from us, and we literally had no clue what to do. You can't breathe. It's hard to talk. You feel like you're going to vomit. The pain in your heart is so strong, you start to wonder if you're dying. Dying at this point seems like a pretty good option. At least then we'll be with Maddie. But we know there are others here that need us. We no longer fear death, and we actually look forward to the day we are reunited with Maddie. We actually have apps on our phones with Maddie's picture that helps us keep track of how many days closer we are to being reunited with Maddie. It's not counting days from the accident, but I can tell you today, I'm 337 days closer to being with my daughter. Then you are bombarded with the decisions. You have to pick a funeral home. You have to release the body to the funeral home. You have to make the funeral arrangements. Picking the casket, the burial vault, her clothes, the music, the readings, the pallbearers, the list goes on and on. Probably the most difficult decision for us was where to bury our daughter. We're not from here. We moved here 5 years ago, so we have no close family in the immediate proximity. So we made the difficult decision to bury our Maddie 700 miles away in Osage, Iowa, so she could be surrounded by family on a continuous basis. There's no place in the world she loved more, and we always said she would end up there someday. We had no idea it would be this soon or in this manner. You quickly learn that the overwhelming pain and suffering doesn't go away. You find it hard to believe that it's possible to cry every single day. You start to think you're losing your mind. You forget things, and you lose your train of thought mid-sentence. Nights are extremely difficult. It's quiet and you have nothing else to do but think, and your mind races. You long for the ability to sleep, but quickly realize that's just wishful thinking. You rely on medication to help you sleep and lessen the headaches. Each morning when you wake up, the pain is there and it doesn't lessen. You can only hope that you can learn to manage it a little more effectively as time passes. You hear about adjusting to the new normal. Well, let me tell you, we are trying to adjust, but it's hard when you know the new normal will never, ever be as good as what you once had. We knew early on we weren't equipped to handle this on our own. All of the guilt, the regrets, the things you wish you would have said and done. Our son Jack had lost his sister. Not only his sister, he had lost his best friend. The one person he could tell anything to, and she would listen and not judge. He's been forced to grow up way too fast. We were also able to get good counseling, grief counseling, from the amazing staff at the Center for Good Grief in Collierville, Tennessee. We've almost completed our year first without our Maddie, which has been magnified by the fact this was her senior year. No more playing in state golf tournament. No more softball games. Now we go watch her teammates play on the field that's named in Maddie's honor. No achieving her goal of finishing in the top 10 of her class, which was so important to her. No graduation. Instead, we and the Lynches will attend graduation on the 21st thinking what could have been. no going off to the University of Missouri, no career for Maddie, which we're sure would have been focused on helping others, no first kiss, no falling in love, no wedding day, no family of her own. And like her mother and grandmother, she would have been a phenomenal mom. No being an aunt. She used to tell Jack, I want you to have at least 4 kids because I'm going to be the best aunt ever. Today we are here seeking justice for Maddie and the other victims of this crime. The defendant has repeatedly proven he has a complete disregard for the lives of others, and we truly believe if given the chance to drive under the influence again, he will do it. He will harm others and potentially kill other innocent victims. We would like to ask you, no, we are begging you, please sentence the defendant to the maximum term on each one of the counts. Thank you, Your Honor.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Thank you, Ted. Your Honor, next is State Kamm following Kruse.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give be the truth and all truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Can you give your full name for the court, please?
Dawn Renee Kruse,
And where do you reside?
Collierville, Tennessee.
And if you could just tell the court a little about your experience as a victim.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor, for letting me speak. I wasn't going to come up here and speak, but I figured this is the only time I can speak for my daughter because she doesn't have a voice anymore. The day she was born was the best day, one of the best days of my life. I had my little girl. I couldn't wait to dress her up all the time until she became a tomboy. But that day, I remember laying in that bed, and her daddy was sitting there holding her and reading her a story, and I was falling asleep because I was so tired. And all of a sudden I look up, and he wasn't talking anymore, and I looked up, and he's just crying. He's like, this book's talking about me giving her away at her wedding. And he goes, I just had her. Now I have to give her away. So just explains the love. I gotta say, what's been taken from us, from me as a mom, my little girl, my only girl. I don't get to see her have her first kiss. I don't get to see her fall in love. And that breaks my heart. From her dad, she was daddy's girl. Always has been. She's grandpa's girls too. Every picture, she's always on their laps. She's on her dad's lap, grandpa's laps. She loved her dad. Her dad held her so high. And he just adored her from my son. His best friend's gone. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. Maddie was Jack's best friend. When we moved here 5 years ago, my children knew nobody. They didn't know one person, and we just stuck him in school. I picked the school, I picked the house. I took him to school and said, okay, here's your school, go off. And Maddie couldn't wait to get home and to talk to her brother. I would always hear him giggling upstairs in their rooms when they're supposed to be doing homework, but they would just sit there and talk about the day, and Maddie would they would be telling each other stories. Her friends. I remember in 9th grade when we were setting up her schedule, and she was taking very hard classes, and I said, why are you taking such hard classes? She goes, I'm going to push myself, get great grades, and work really hard 3 years, then my senior year I can actually have fun. She goes, I can't wait till my senior year because at Briarcrest the seniors get spoiled rotten. They get all this stuff, and she just couldn't wait to be a senior at Briarcrest. And she always said, Mom, when I go to school, she goes, I want to pick the school. I don't want the schools to pick me. So she worked her butt off getting amazing grades. She was an honor roll every year, Joseph A. Clayton Award every year. And last year, her junior year, she got a 30 on her ACT, and then she was done. She's like, I don't have to take it anymore. That was her goal. She reached her goal. She's always reached her goal. Ever since ninth grade, her and her friend Emily, their goal was to be in the top 10 of the graduating class. And when those top 10 came out, and Emily was on it, she was number 8, and I was so proud, and I knew my baby girl would have been there right along with her, but she didn't get that opportunity. It was stolen from her. Totally taken from her. My daughter was an amazing writer. I don't know what she would have been, but she wanted to go into the business school at University of Mizzou, I should call it. And she was looking at advertising or marketing, but she was an amazing writer. I have one here that I want to read. It's a poem that she wrote when she was in 9th grade, and it was actually published. Going into her 10th grade year in a local magazine. It's called Above. As we desperately try to escape our burden, travel the black sky, and find more than us. Yet no matter how high our minds will take us, there's a limit we can fly. But we attempt as must. Maybe above the clouds, but still below him, and what weighs us down is our worldly sin. We can't soar with envy or glide with hate, but float with baptism and open his gate. She was in 9th grade, and she just excelled from there. When I think about the sentencing, Maddie was 16. Everyone says she's 17, but she was only 16. She had at least 60, if not 70 good years ahead of her. Rachel was 17. She had at least 60 good years ahead of her. If you add those together, that's 120 years. And just for those 2. And then you add the other 3. So I ask you, Your Honor, to give the maximum sentence because my son's going to be driving in a few short months. And it terrifies me for him to be on the road with someone like him. And with all of his offenses, I can't even bear it. So we need people like him off the road, and I don't want him to ever be on the road again. And I want to see him behind bars. So I thank you, Your Honor.
Finally, Your Honor, the state called.
Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Jack, can you give your full name for the record?
Jack Allen Kruse,
And where do you live?
Carville, Tennessee.
If you'd like to talk to the court about being a victim has impacted you and your family.
Your Honor, I'm a Catholic, and last year I was confirmed in my church, and they were told to write me letters about how my faith has impacted them and other stuff, and Maddie wrote me a letter, and I'd like to read it. That's okay. Dear Jack, though sometimes it may seem kind of hard to believe, you are literally the best brother anyone could have. Nearly every morning I go on a mini rant in the car, but you listen to me anyway, even after being my shotgun rider for half a year, and I love you for that. I love it whenever someone tells me that you know and how cool and sweet you are. I actually slightly freak out inside because it makes me so happy that even though you're in 8th grade, during this period when you guys are supposed to be giant jerks all the time, you are somewhat already so mature. Compared to all the other kids your age, you are truly a miracle. You kind of get sassy sometimes, but I think you learned that from me, so I'm okay with it. When we moved from Illinois, you were my only friend. I hated every single day we were here and resented the fact that every face was unfamiliar to me. The only thing I looked forward to every day was being able to come home and hang out with you for a little while and just feel comfortable. For years, you and me have understood each other. We can talk about our problems to each other, and it makes me so happy. That can never change. I thank God for moving us to Tennessee because without this huge milestone in our lives, I wouldn't have been able to be as close to you as I am. In the last 2 years, I've seen you transform into an awkward teenage boy. I've seen you become more passionate about your faith, you've worked on your relationship with God, and your overall attitude has changed. When I was confirmed in 8th grade, I was just beginning my walk with Christ. It hasn't been until the last couple of months where I have really become serious about being closer to Him. I just want to let you know that I'm here for you. Your walk with Christ is going to be the most important thing in your life. And I'm just beginning on it like you are. I'm here for you always. I want you to come to me with any problems you have with your faith ever, any doubts, disbeliefs, or trials you're going through. I'll be there for you. Odds are that I've already gone through them. Next year I'll be graduating and heading off to college. That's a scary thought for me. That's a scary thought for me, but it just sucks that I'm not going to have you by my side every day. When I'm in college, you'll be heading into your sophomore year of high school. Even though I'm not going to be there, I'll always be right there by you. High school is one giant trial, and I know because I was right there only a little bit ago. I want you to call me if you ever need me. I don't want to be left out of the loop ever. If you're having trouble with girls or your friends, I want to know about it. I just need some advice. I'm pretty definitely sure that God made me your sister for a reason. He knew that we need each other, and He put us together so we can help each other grow. I may be sort of a newbie with my religion, but I want to help you grow closer to God. I'm not just making this up, so I have something to say to you for your confirmation. Every word I have written in this letter is 100% true, and I'm always going to be there for you. I'm so proud of you. Love, your bomb diggity sister, Maddie.
Jack, is there anything you would like to talk to the court about as far as what you think would be an appropriate sentence?
I just don't want this man to be on the road again. So.
And anything else that you would like to add?
No, ma'am.
No.
Which are prior sentences that have been handed down by courts in this district. I mean, off those. So you're going to be please, young. You want to now call Geneva Long to stand up, please?
son, you're about to give, plead the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Janiqua, can you state your name for the record, please?
Janiqua is long.
And do you go by Janiqua, or do you go by a different name?
Pumpkin is what Melandus knows me by.
Pumpkin. Okay. What relation are you to Melandus?
I'm his god sister.
And I noticed that you're amongst many people here today. Are those members of his family and friends?
Church family and friends.
Okay. How long have you known Melandus?
All of his life.
And prior to this event, what did he do? What did he do for a living?
He was a great guy. He held a job. He worked every day very hard to provide for his family.
Okay. And do you know, does he have sisters, brother?
He does have 2 sisters and no brothers.
All right. And what about his parents? Is his mother here?
His mother is here. His father is deceased.
Okay. I know you would probably be the first one to not try to excuse anything that has gone on.
Yes,
And of course, you recognize that he's pled guilty today
I do.
to these very serious offenses.
Yes, I do.
What, recognizing a loss and losses that these people have had to endure and will have to endure, I can imagine that it's difficult for you, even knowing Melandus as you do, to try to ask for forgiveness and mercy.
It's very hard. I have a 19-year-old son. So I look at it from that side of the family and this side of the family, and I cannot imagine. So I do not. It's a hard battle to fight. But as a Christian and as a praying family of Melandus, we do realize that there will be repercussions. And all that we can do is pray and ask for strength and forgiveness for these families.
We all know that these children, they're gone. And it's the worst thing in the world to do is to lose a child. Recognizing that Melandus has done something very, very bad, very bad. The man that you know and knew before that night, was he a bad man?
It's not a bad man. It's not at all a bad man. He was a great, fun, loving, playful. He liked to grill out. He liked to cook and fish. He was just an all-around neighborhood good guy.
You know, obviously, that he had trouble in the past.
Yes.
And drink.
Yes.
And you know, those are things that are, it's difficult to look at it back now.
I do understand that.
Again, I ask you though, is the person that's portrayed here, is
Not at
that
all.
someone the court only knows what the court hears? I mean, is that the kind of guy that...
Not at all. Melandus is a Christian man. He belonged to a church. He has a church home. Accidents happen. Just a bad day, a bad time. Him suffering from, him recently losing his father. Took a few wrong turns, and this is how it all played out.
If I'm correct, and you're not trying to excuse what happened.
Absolutely not.
But he's yours,
Yes,
and you want, if there's any mercy in the world, you want it.
yes.
That's right. You know, that's the only witness I would start that Mr. would like to address the court.
justice. I just want to let y'all know that I was not under the influence of alcohol, and I had mercy. I stayed on the scene over an hour, holding those girls' heads up with my hands. I did that, and I just like to say that I'm sorry, and I understand the pain that y'all are going through. I have a family too, and just as well as God forgives, I just wanted to ask y'all to forgive me.
Anything else? Anything else, Mr. Blair? I'll hear from each side as far as I'll close the statement argument. And that's concluded. I'm going to take about 5 minutes break and review the documents that have been admitted into evidence, and then come back and make an announcement of the decision. I'll hear from the state.
Involving a drunk driver whose victims were actually friends in his car. They'd been drinking with him, assumed the risk of receiving such an injury, and was the result of the plea offer. And the court is even more familiar, I know, with Janet Newman's case out of Tippah County and the circumstances that are distinguishable from what we have here. This was not an accident. It was a conscious decision by the defendant. I know that in entering the plea of guilty, he accepted some responsibility, but in addressing the court now, seemed to still have none. Mr. Holden made the point that this defendant was given chance after chance after chance. The first DUI should have been a message to him. He was going to get caught. But he continued after that, not once, not twice, but 6 times, to get in the car while he was under the influence, without regard for the law and without regard for other people's lives. And this time, he did the same thing. He was driving on a suspended license, and yet made the decision to get behind the wheel and barrel down a highway, selfishly, not worrying about who was in his path. You've heard from the victims, and I won't go through individually what's been taken from these parents and what Roxanne and Kara and Caroline are continuing to live with. They are survivors, but they are victims of drunk driving, and they will live with that for the rest of their lives. Maddie and Rachel that day were embarking on a trip. They were also poised to be embarking on the rest of their lives. They're starting out their senior year, planning to go to college and start living. be productive citizens, be parents, and they were robbed of that potential. I think that the circumstances and facts of this case stand alone. I don't think that any other case that we presented to the court or that the defense has presented to the court are comparable, and that the punishment should fit this crime. And it's the state's opinion that 120 years would not be enough.
Your Honor, police court. Find yourself in the unenviable position of speaking in a room where no one wants to hear your voice, where no one wants to hear what you have to say, and you cannot blame them for that. I don't have words in me to express the emotions that I have felt from these people, these good people today. A father of four. If I sat where they sat right now, I would not have had the strength or the courage to have gone before the court and talked from the stand. Certainly not as much courage as young Mr. Kruse did. But because this is a court of justice, and because I know this court is fair for me, and because I do believe that Melandus Penson does have value, and because I do believe that as bad as everybody in this aisle hurts, and this aisle too, particularly this aisle hurts, I know that somewhere I have to believe that there is forgiveness. Maybe nobody wants to say it right now, maybe nobody wants to believe it right now, but I do believe in the human spirit, and I do believe that humans want to forgive. Mr. Penson has a horrible record this past court. He has gotten many chances, and ultimately on this occasion, he took some actions that set in order a chain of events that resulted in the loss of these lives, these dreams, and these hopes. It resulted in injuries, and it resulted in pain that will not stop. And I can ask the court to look into the record which the state has provided and look at the testimony which has been produced throughout this year. And I can in some way try to mitigate it and say, was Melandus Penson stumbling, bumbling, slobbering drunk at the time? No, he wasn't. Did he know where he was? Did he know what he was doing? Was he able to walk and talk? Yes, he did. Was he able to provide some assistance, some comfort, some presence to this event? Yes, he could. Does it make a difference? Probably not. But I think that at some level, he accepts the responsibility for what he's done. I think that he has a family that is going to be proud of their son, their cousin, their brother. And that doesn't mitigate what happened. But I believe it is an appeal to the court. And I believe it's a worthy appeal. And I believe Mr. Penson does have one. And I know without a doubt that he's very sorry. Whether he expresses it in an eloquent way or not, important, he is sorry. And know that we have a message. Not when we have candles, the bright lights, everybody dressed up, but when we leave in the dark, damp jail cell. That's where you and I meet. That's where we talk. That's where we can share. That's where you can tell he knows what he knows what he knows the thing he's called. He knows he's going to have to pay. You could put him in jail for 240 years, Judge. It's not going to bring these precious lives back. And there will be no forgiveness. But until there's some forgiveness, this pain will stop. There is no other case like any other case. Every case stands on its own. Learned that the first day of school. And I find it difficult to compare apples to oranges to say this defendant got this sentence or that defendant got that. And yet, here we are in some ways doing that. However you want to express it, this man pled guilty. Whether he had an offer to plead guilty or not, he pled guilty. He threw himself on the mercy of the court. However you want to express that, he did that. He's thrown himself on the mercy of the court. He has. Rather than cause these families the hardship of a week-long trial, the agony of those awful times, he came before the court on his own 2 feet, his own court, and saved that horrible promise. And now people that have their say, he's had his say. I can't excuse it. Not say anything other than he did what he needed to do this morning. And I'm asking you for mercy on his behalf.
We're just going to take about 5 minutes recess and we'll review these documents, get my thoughts together, come back and make a decision. Okay? We'll pass it. Is he not back there?
I know what you're doing. I'm the victim. You're right. I know. We're like, we've got Kelly too.